Good morning, folks. I wish I could be with you all today at the Executive Council meeting, but am off north of you to do some work on behalf of the presiding bishop and in my role as President of Province 8. So I beg your forgiveness for missing this meeting. I may very much wish I were with you in the midst of whatever LA traffic I encounter, probably about the time you all are seeing this. I thought it might be good to take a few minutes and share with you what I'm sensing is going on right now in terms of the functioning of our team, how it relates to Executive Council, and the trajectory I think we're on. I'm aware that we have crafted a budget for 2016 and posited spending some resources, some unrestricted reserves this year and potentially the next couple of years to accomplish some broader objectives, some really strategic objectives. And I think it's important for you all to know, as you'll learn today, that we're moving ahead with the process of calling the Latino Hispanic missioner, someone for youth ministry and young adult ministry, that actually is ongoing. And I do think we all agree that those are three absolutely pivotal areas of, if you will, expertise and focus that we need to have on our team, and the Executive Council needs to be keenly involved in as well. Some ways I'm seeing that already bear fruit is the kinds of conversations that are going on. Just today I had a conversation with one of our rectors talking about how we need to support all congregations around being relevant around the Latino populations in our community. So having that missioner, that person who can carry that ball, will be crucial to us. And even thinking about that, that's affecting my own thinking about how we present ourselves. As an example, I'm aware that in the history of our keynote speakers over the last several years, we've not had a Latino speaker. And I think to live into this new identity that reflects the church reflects the world out there, we need to do that. So moving ahead on these critical decisions and bringing people onto the team, we're working on, and I think it's moving ahead well, and we'll move quickly. But that's a part of a bigger whole. And if I can just take a step back on another piece, which is what is, I think, happening with the shifts that we made earlier this year around the appointment of Nancy Holland as Chief of Staff, and really kind of do some reconfiguring on our staff in terms of their assignments. I think already I'm sensing this is freeing up Allison to focus on the School for Ministry in new and creative ways. And I think it's freeing me up to be doing some of the thinking I need to be doing strategically, creatively, relationally. In the last 2 or 3 weeks, I found myself putting a lot of that time and more efforts at being in relationship with people through my correspondence, through my telephone calls, through my face-to-face contact, unburdened, if you will, from some of the things that I've had to do, or felt the need to do in terms of, if you will, the administration of the community. I'm perhaps able to do that more, and I hope that that's going to ultimately be sensed by you out in the field. But the other thing that I think we're already feeling, I'm sensing and feeling, is with someone in Nancy's position focusing on the administration, the implementation, the operations, that we're really quickly moving into some patterning, some real attention to detail that is going to make all these missional efforts that we're also launching really not only credible but excellent. Some of the ways that we do things in the past has been at almost a breathless pace. And I'm not going to suggest that the pace is maybe any less breathless, but it's very, very much focused and becoming much more preparatory and planful as we do it. So here we are early March, having made some big decisions. I think we're a long way down the road and putting in place some of the things that you as Executive Council and the Convention through the passage of the budget said that we should do. Still a lot to do. But where does that take us in the big arc? And this is where I, in my own prayer life and in my own thinking, I think we're building the capacity to be a very different church in our presence and in our action and our missional work in the world around us. And I would put it in these terms, that we're getting to the point where we're going to be able to, in 2016 and 17, be able to actually launch new Episcopal communities, whether they're Latino or young adult, intentional communities. I think we're about ready to start stepping out on that. Some of these personnel decisions that we have before us will help us do that. Some of your work will help us do that. And some of our better organization will help us do that. And I think that's going to be a huge thing. It's going to be huge, first of all, psychically as a church to sense ourselves actually not holding our own, but growing, albeit in very different ways. The communities will be intimate, smaller, more focused. Maybe it's a community that is centered around a life of prayer. Maybe it's the community that's already developing around our young adult women's Bible study, that kind of thing, that begins to have its own gravitas and sense of identity that is either inter-parish or extra-parish. And to figure out ways to support those and bring them into what Bishop Curry, I think, has continues to name, and we should appropriate, the Episcopal brand of the Jesus movement. The Episcopal brand of the Jesus movement doesn't have to be St. Swithin's Parish. It doesn't have to be Episcopal Community Services kind of thing. It can be something very different, really taking seriously, whenever two or three are gathered, that we have a very sort of minimal standard for what counts as a part of that movement, because by not limiting it, we open up the possibility in a new environment, in a new age, that new things can happen. And as a part of that, as we began to test this and try this, I hope that all of us, self-included, and all of us in leadership roles will be ready for the inevitable stumbles and failures that go along with that. Some of them will be inconsequential. Some of them may have price tags associated with them. But we need to be willing to be those experimenters, because we really don't know what's going to work. So I hope you all will bear that burden and celebrate successes and celebrate some failures too with us, and hopefully inculcate that spirit of experimentation. If you were at the Leadership Academy, Mary Gray Reeves, Bishop of El Camino Real, talked about being a part of a diocese where the Silicon Valley is in her backyard, and that how much that's a part of her culture, and inviting us to really cherish and nurture learning communities. And that's where the School for Ministry, planting these new communities, really supporting them through excellent administration and operational aspects here in the office of the bishop. I think it's all coalescing. It's going to take some patience on our part, but I really do think we're on the right path. And probably in the next several months we will want to take what we learn and probably take a step aside and do some real serious strategic planning and communication, so that we're continually, as we are finding the way into this new future, we're able to communicate and bring that to the folks of the diocese. So I hope the rest of your meeting is good. I'm glad that you're going to focus a bit today on how you're going to go out into the mission field and be with the people of God in our different congregations. It's so important. We've talked about this for a long time, about executive council members visiting congregations. And I hope that yours is a spirit as much of not only sharing what you're doing for the wider diocese, and also reminding everybody that Diocese is not that group that works at the Episcopal Church Center, but it's all of us. But we'll be learners yourself and take a spirit of inquiry into your visits. Tell me more might be what you will find yourself saying from time to time in these conversations. And also being able to say, well done, or wow, I haven't seen that before. And give that attaboy, attagirl moment to our brothers and sisters out there. So God bless you. Again, my thanks for you all letting me in this way be in two places at once. And we'll see you soon. Blessings in the rest of your Lent and Eastertide as well.